What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ross back at it again with another video. So we're going to check out the Busted Open podcast crew talking about Jacob Fatu's, I guess you can say, performance at WWE Saturday Night's main event, and basically saying a star has been born. Shout out to everyone involved in the Busted Open podcast, man. We appreciate them for inviting us on their show last year, and periodically I do check out their clips, of them talking about what's going on currently in wrestling, and I definitely wanted to check this out to kind of get their ideas and opinions on what we saw with Jacob this past Saturday. The title alone saying a star has been born, I can totally agree with that. What they have with him, he was already a certified future main eventer. Just how they presented him since he's came into WWE and been a part of this bloodline story. But what they had him do Saturday was truly great, and it really solidified him as being the next guy up potentially, or one of the next guys up potentially in WWE, depending on how they continue to book him. So I definitely wanted to see what they had to say. These are people that are in the industry, know about the industry, have been a part of it. So we're going to check this out. Should be a good one. Let's get right into this bad boy, man.
Jacob Fatu made a statement. That's Braun Strowman, for crying out loud.
Yeah,
And
you got to put an edge on the sword. What's the use of having a knife if it won't cut?
Yeah.
They had to do that with him. And nobody took a L in the process. And that's my thing. And that's old school too. Like, you ain't gonna have nobody take a win or a loss unless it's a paid TV under the lights.
Bully, to see Jacob Fatu, and we've talked about this a lot about Jacob Fatu, and Jacob Fatu is that star coming out of that Bloodline 2.0. That was a statement made by him on Saturday. That's Braun Strowman. To leave Braun Strowman laying and bleeding like that, that's not something that you see from Braun Strowman every.
That's a good visual. Lean him laying, we've seen that before. We've seen that with his interaction with Bronson Reed, which I thought that was pretty fun as well a while back. But seeing him laying down bloodied, the addition of blood there really told the story that Jacob Fatu is truly unhinged, that he was able to do this with Braun Strowman, do this to Braun Strowman. That's a major statement that WWE is trying to make with Jacob Fatu.
Every day, if at all, in his entire career. We always talked about, when it came to the Bloodline 2.0, there were times where I've come on here and said, I just don't believe in them. They got to do something to make me believe. Solo Sikoa has to do something to make me believe. I believe in Jacob Fatu
for sure,
after seeing what I saw on Saturday night's main event.
I want you to think back to about a month ago. I said something very specific about Jacob Fatu. When it came to the WWE, what were they doing to Jacob Fatu? Do you remember what I said, Dave?
Well, it just seemed like they were building him up. Like, he was in the background. He wasn't in the forefront. But he was making his presence known.
I said that at any given moment he could break out and become the star, but they're keeping him on a leash until they're ready. Do you remember me saying that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The other night, Saturday night's main event, they were ready. They took the leash off for the night.
For sure. And you've been seeing it with Solo essentially taking his ball and going home. Jacob Fatu had been speaking more. That's the first thing. They let him talk more. And now he's been talking even more since Solo has kind of disappeared. He is kind of taken over this role of, if Solo not going to be here, it's just going to be me and Tama. Hey, this is how we doing things. And I don't care. If you get in my way, I'm packing you up. And everything he says comes off believable, comes off cool. We knew he was going to be the guy. I think a lot of people have said he's really, to be honest with you, he's the real new tribal chief in this new bloodline, to keep it a buck. But obviously he was there to be Solo's enforcer. Now Solo has kind of removed himself for now He's taking over and doing things his way. And what we saw on Saturday is just the beginning. Like he said in his promo, y'all haven't seen nothing yet. We really haven't. And we're just starting to see some of what they're going to have this guy doing and how they're going to portray him.
And they let him do what we could do. People are talking. I saw people talking on social media about, oh, Jacob Fatu, Jacob Fatu. We've been singing Jacob Fatu's praises on this show for a long, long time now, long before he ever got to the WWE. We know what we saw. And the WWE sees it in him also. And he's been doing a great job. Jacob Fatu commands the spotlight. The spotlight finds him.
Yep.
You were actually able to put your finger on a moment in time on Saturday and going, this is the very moment that this guy started to truly get over. They started chanting one more time. They wanted more of Jacob Fatu, and they started chanting, Fatu, Fatu. They're going to be chanting that in the arenas now.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing. It's the same type of trajectory. I probably said that wrong, but it's the same type of path that Bronson Reed recently took. When he was out here hitting Seth Rollins with multiple tsunamis, think about it. People love Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is technically a babyface, but you have Bronson Reed packing him up with tsunamis that we've been seeing, and the crowd's chanting one more time. They built a monster. When you got the crowd wanting you to keep doing the damage, you got something. You do. And unfortunately, him getting injured in War Games kind of halted his push. But I will say, he's in a situation now when he does come back, people are going to be very excited to see him. And now we have a similar situation with Jacob Fatu and how the crowd is chanting his name for the very first time. I think that's the very first time I've heard a live crowd chant Fatu, Fatu. They got gold here, bro.
He's going to get over. And getting over is more important than anything else in the world.
Yep.
Whether that's getting over as a babyface or as a heel, they're going to let the people decide. They'll push him in a certain direction. But now they're going to want to see Jacob Fatu destroy people.
Yes, as he should.
I loved the simplicity of the hip attacks. I don't even know, the ass busters, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Braun Strowman's head was on that laying on that second turnbuckle, and time after time again, all Jacob Fatu did was run into his head with his ass. The beauty in the simplicity. Now I could hear people out there going, but Bully, he did it 10 times, not just once. That's what it takes to keep a monster like Braun Strowman down. They protected Braun. Correct. They protected Braun Strowman. And they're not
winning a match.
They're not trying to get over the hip check. It's okay. They're not trying to get over the hip check, but the brutality of hip check after hip check after hip check. Damn, it really starts to set in. This is brutal. And then how they executed the moonsaults. And I want to give props. Mark, it's Daivari who's there, right? Who's working as an agent? Sean Daivari. Sean Daivari made the pull-aparts and Jacob's moonsaults look more believable and credible. Go back and watch Daivari while Jacob climbs up to the top rope. Daivari doesn't just stand to the side. He actually stands in between Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman, physically trying to stop him. But then once Daivari sees Jacob Fatu start to do that moonsault, he has to protect himself and get out of the way. It doesn't seem as contrived. It looks like Daivari is legitimately trying to stop this monster. as opposed to like what we talked about last week. We're watching AEW with that big brawl, and what are the referees doing on the floor? Absolutely nothing. This pull apart, there was chaos, there was confusion. Davari looked like he was doing something. There might have been one other person there who looked like they were trying to get in front of the moonsault, but Davari really stood out to me. It lends credibility to everything.
Fair.
It's not just everybody just standing back going, oh, no, wait, don't do the moonsault, and then it just happens. He's really trying to stop the guy. But then the monster starts to hit the moonsault. Davari's like, screw this. I'm an agent. I'm not a wrestler anymore. I'm getting out of the way. I have my own family to protect.
Yeah, and like what you were saying earlier about the hip checks, Bully, is the fact that it's completely different because Jacob Fatu in that moment is trying to inflict as much pain as human. He's not looking to win a match.
Yeah, he's trying to destroy him.
Finish. He's looking to inflict as much pain as humanly possible. This is how good that segment was as far as like getting me to buy into Jacob Fatu, where now if you said to me that the end game is to have Roman Reigns against Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania, I can buy in. I can buy into that.
I brought that scenario about.
Possibly. I mean, I'm willing to bet he should be in the Royal Rumble. He should be in the Royal Rumble this year. I mean, this Saturday. So that would be interesting to see how that plays out. If I'm WWE, I put him in the Royal Rumble. And you really could. I don't know if they would do that so soon, but you could have that interaction with these guys in the Royal Rumble if you wanted to. But I do think one of the end goals would obviously be Jacob and Solo. Maybe Solo's in the Royal Rumble. That could be pretty interesting too. I hope they can tell that story. Maybe Solo's in the Royal Rumble. I think, honestly, I would have Jacob and Solo kind of be a thing. If you're going to build up towards WrestleMania, have Jacob and Solo be something right there. You can do something. You can start that at this year's Royal Rumble. But having them have a one-on-one, I think that would be pretty dope. And then possibly you can have Jacob Fatu go after Roman, later down the line. They have options, but I don't think anyone would trip. If the end goal is to have Jacob and Roman go at it, I don't think anyone would trip, bro, especially after what we saw on Saturday.
About 2 weeks ago, and you weren't very on board.
No, you needed to have something like what we had. You needed to have them. Like, Bully, you're so right. Mark, you are so right. You now have that moment now that you can go back. That was the moment. That was the moment that turned Jacob Fatu into a part of Bloodline 2.0 into now somebody who could be a part of WrestleMania.
We talked about Jacob, but when are we going to talk about Braun Strowman? How great of a guy to get people over now.
Mm-hmm.
He's so legitimate and so Teflon that he can go into a match with Bronson Reed and get him over. Yeah. He can go into a match with Jacob Fatu and get him over. You can't have one side without the other.
Yeah, this is true.
Jacob is going to be Jacob. But it's like me and Bully always say, it's who you dance with.
Mm-hmm.
And Braun Strowman is going to heal up from this, and he's going to come back meaner and madder than hell. And Jacob is going to have to pay the piper.
And I honestly don't think this is over. Like, we've seen the same similar thing with Bronson Reed. I do think there's going to be some type of interaction with Braun Strowman try to get his revenge, as he should. Ultimately, I think Jacob may come out in this feud at the top, maybe even in this Royal Rumble. Maybe Braun Strowman comes out there and he's not even worried about the Royal Rumble. He goes straight after Jacob Fatu. I think that would be interesting too. They have so many things and stories they can tell in this year's Royal Rumble. I'm really excited for it, but I don't think they're done. I don't think this is one and done. You extend this feud. You extend it even more because really the match ended on a disqualification. So you extend it even more. See where they go with this. I do think Jacob will be the victorious in this overall feud, but extend this even more. I want to see some more from these guys, man.
And I can see right after him paying that piper, Bronson Reed showing up again and just laying him to waste. And you thought,
Yep. And I like that he made that point because Bronson Reed did tweet, he loved what he saw, but, you can't, love the imitation, no, but, you can't duplicate me. Essentially, that's what he said. Like, he loves the imitation of what Jacob Fatu did, but you can't duplicate a real monster. So I like that he said that. We may get some interaction with Bronson Reed and Jacob Fatu relatively soon as well.
it was over. You thought I was done. Hey, sign the triple threat up, man, and put it on the paper. Put it on WrestleMania.
That would be pretty tough too.
Dave, moments in time
That would be fire too.
that you can put your finger on. What was Steve Austin's moment in time?
For Steve, you could go either with Tyson or McMahon.
No, that wasn't Steve's moment.
I'm sorry. The famous promo, of course. King of the Ring.
Not even that. To me,
Then what was it then?
To me, well, I like to play this little guessing game because I get excited when you get it right. You get all frustrated. The minute Bret Hart turns him over in the sharpshooter and he's a Crimson Mask, that's Steve Austin's moment to me.
Yep, that makes sense. Yep, that's it. The double turn. That's it. Steve Austin, he didn't tap. The blood rushing down his face. He didn't tap. He passed out. It was the double turn, and that's when people was like, you know what? I like this guy. I like this guy. That's a good pivotal moment.
Because Austin 316 happens, and then there's not it doesn't catch on until months later. That moment that Bret turns him over and he passes out, people were into Steve Austin in that moment.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch, the minute Nia Jax shatters her face.
Yeah.
Last night, Saturday night was Jacob's moment in time.
They
I think
felt him. They felt they had an emotional connection to the heart. Braun Strowman on the ground bleeding. Like, as much as they respected Jacob for the work that he put in on Braun, they also, like, when Braun stood up, finally, like, they got him to the apron, the whole arena. Man, come on. You gonna be all right. You can hear people. It's okay, man. You gonna be all right.
And Mark, I think you got to witness live that what we didn't get to see on TV, sympathy on a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not easy to do.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
And I don't think there's anybody else. Like you mentioned Bronson Reed, maybe Bronson Reed, but I don't think Bronson Reed could have done what Braun Strowman did. Like Braun Strowman, with the history of him in the WWE, like you said, the credibility of him being the monster, he was the only person that could have done that for Jacob. I don't think there's anybody else on the roster that could have done what Braun Strowman did for him on Saturday.
He's the biggest guy there.
Yeah. Hey, man, this was dope, man. Shout out to the Busted Open podcast, the crew. Appreciate y'all once again for having us on the show. Last year, I definitely wanted to check this out. And make sure y'all go subscribe to their channel. I'm going to link the original video down below. And that way you can check out some of their other clips. And, check them out on SiriusXM if you do have it. This was dope, man. They made some very, very, very great points. And honestly, I couldn't agree with these guys more. Jacob Fatu is one of the next guys up. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to have him do moving forward, especially in this year's Royal Rumble. Because I'm really excited in what direction they're going to have him go with. Is he going to reignite the feud with Braun Strowman? Is he going to go after Solo? Is he going to go after Roman? Like, they have multiple stories they can tell with Jacob Fatu that will lead him into WrestleMania and having a match at WrestleMania. So we'll see where they go. But I'm going to ask y'all down below, what path would y'all want to see Jacob Fatu take this year heading into WrestleMania? Would y'all want him to have a feud with Braun Strowman and maybe Bronson Reed coming back? Would y'all want to see some type of triple threat with these guys to see who's really the top dog, who's really the top monster in WWE? Or would you guys want to see that one-on-one with Solo Sikoa at this year's WrestleMania? Or maybe Would y'all be ready to see Jacob versus Roman at this year's WrestleMania? Y'all let me know down below which path y'all would want to see Jacob Fatu take this year. But I appreciate all love, support. Road to 150K. Appreciate y'all kicking with me. See y'all next one. Peace.